rehearsals are over, the preparations made, and the great day has arrived, the 4th of May, 1984. Her Majesty the Queen, the Colonel-in-Chief of the Royal Welsh Fusiliers, is about to arrive, and the Guard of Honour, provided by Bravo and Delta companies, marches onto the square, led by the Goat, the Pioneers, and the band and drums. This will be the first visit to the 1st Battalion by Her Majesty, since they were visited in Lemgo in 1981, and for many of those who will see Her Majesty today, this will be a unique occasion. The Queen's colour arrives on the square, carried by 2nd Lieutenant Richard Knocker. Day, but the sun is shining, and families and friends are out in considerable numbers. Spectators of all ages have come to visit today. Many comrades have travelled from Wales and from all parts of the United Kingdom, and now all eagerly await the arrival of Her Majesty. Spectators arrive as the final arrangements are made, and the Guard of Honour comes to a halt. Sergeant Major Davis, 46, has now dressed the guard, and all is set. Concentration is evident on everyone's faces as they await the arrival of the royal car. Car arrives, the royal standards unfurled, and the Guard of Honour present arms as the band play the national anthem, and Her Majesty takes the salute mounted on the dais. Shoulder arms, and Major Bob Lloyd, the commander of the Guard Honour, goes up to Her Majesty to report to the Guard ready for Her Majesty's inspection. Her Majesty now goes forward to inspect the Guard of Honour, accompanied by Major Lloyd and by the Colonel of the Regiment, Brigadier Anthony Vivian. She starts with the Pioneers, and then goes on to the men of B Company and D Company who are formed up on parade. Members of the battalion blade group are out. And obviously very interested by what's going on. When the inspection is completed, Her Majesty is accompanied by the Colonel of the regiment to the officers' mess, where the commanding officer will brief her on the current and future plans for the 1st Battalion. After coffee in the mess, Her Majesty begins a short informal walkabout in Battlesbury Barracks. The stands are designed to give her a glimpse into all aspects of life for the battalion, whilst there in Battlesbury Barracks is the demonstration battalion. First to be visited is the recce platoon, where she is accompanied by Sergeant Anchors. Somewhere underneath the foliage is a Land Rover. Her Majesty is interested to note that the battalion is now equipped with scimitars and asks about their role and capabilities. She's also shown some of the equipment worn by the crews and used in servicing these vehicles. As Her Majesty gets a close look at another scimitar and has a chance of a chat with the driver, the spectators get the chance of a close view of the Queen. The next stand is manned by members of the Armoured Personnel Carrier, or APC platoon. This is shown to demonstrate the present and future equipment within a mechanised infantry platoon. The battalion has been involved in the trials of all the new equipment which Her Majesty will see on display today. Firstly, she sees the equipment currently in use. Simmons, who has been looking after this particular AFE 432 APC, shows Her Majesty the APC and explains some of the intricacies and problems. And now the new equipment. Her Majesty was particularly interested in the new helmets, the load-carrying equipment, and the size, the small size particularly, of the new weapons. The Royal Household also get a chance to see the new equipment as Her Majesty moves on to the family's playgroup. On the way, she has a chance to chat to some of the families and friends who have gathered to see her on this historic day. At the playgroup, Her Majesty is welcomed by Mrs. Davis 46 and Lieutenant Phillips, and then shown around two of the classes inside. On leaving the play school, Her Majesty is presented with a bouquet of flowers by Sally Ann Lewis and is asked to accept a gift of a toy goat for Prince William by David Williams. It's accepted by Her Majesty with the promise that it will be passed on to Prince William immediately on her return. Next, Her Majesty sees a command post set up by the signals platoon. Meanwhile, further along the route, the simulated casualty, Fusilier Avery, on the medical centre stand, looks decidedly unwell. He appears to be in good hands, however, and Corporal Jones, 51, has a smile for the camera. Sergeant Major Gittings introduces Her Majesty next to the mortar platoon stand. The Sergeant Major explains the new plotting equipment now in use with the mortar platoon. Meanwhile, the large crowd, which is now gathered on the main road, get their first glimpse of the Queen. and the cheers start loudly as she passes by. Saint-Bec and his team are asked several questions by Her Majesty, who shows a great deal of interest in the plotting equipment. Next to receive scrutiny are the anti-tank platoon, equipped with the Milan with the thermal imaging sight. The commanding officer and Colour Sergeant Vincent explain the working of the Milan system and the thermal imaging sight. Members of the royal household who followed on were particularly keen to have a go on the Milan simulator. Her Majesty moves on to the medical stand and is introduced to Captain Lorinden Miro, the regimental medical officer. At last, the casualty, Fusilier Avery, becomes the centre of attention. Her Majesty is particularly interested to note how the injuries are cared for and the system of evacuation. After leaving the stand, Her Majesty makes a brief visit to the Red Dragon Club to meet several of the sportsmen who have represented the battalion in various sports. She then moves on to the sergeant's mess, where a reception party waits to greet her. On arrival, Her Majesty is met by the RSM, Mr. Doak, who welcomes her to the mess. After talking to all the sergeants and their wives who are gathered, Her Majesty is invited to have a photograph with all the mess members. Several photographs are taken and the session proves quite lengthy. Her Majesty's comments raise a few smiles, but the quality of the finished photograph does make it all worthwhile. photographs complete, Her Majesty retires to the officers' mess, where she has lunch. After lunch, and a chance to meet not only the officers but also many of those behind the scenes who have assisted the battalion so much in the preparations, it's time for the firepower demonstration. This demonstration is based on the one given by the 1st Battalion on irregular occasions to a wide military audience and shows all aspects of the battalion in its conventional role. It's particularly windy up in Battlesbury Bowl where the demonstration takes place, and Her Majesty is grateful for the covered area set aside. Several spectators have again braved the elements, and despite the cold, the sun is still shining.
Hello, 0, this is 1. Contact, now, grid 905463. Enemy in company strength, advance.
The display begins with a simulated attack on the stand area by enemy forces, which are repulsed by various weapons. This is followed by a demonstration of each particular item of equipment. Firstly, the off-route mine, seen here firing against a scimitar in a simulated attack.
The high explosive charge would have had on that vehicle strength minefield to discourage any attempts to clear the minefield.
Padre, the Reverend Tom Heine, is there, as are many comrades and former officers in the regiment.
The effect of the gun to the
next, the Ranger mine,
can fire 1,000
and this is fired from the back of a Bedford 4-ton truck.
contained in 72 tubes.
A crater is detonated.
Now, turning to the infantry weapons,
And this is followed by a demonstration of forearms fire against falling plate targets. Next to be demonstrated is the general-purpose machine gun in the air defense role.
by the vehicle which is moved into position below you. The pistol-mounted gun is on the right, holding all stages of war. In advance, to provide instant reaction on contact.
And as the spectators look down, the GPMGs are brought out in readiness to fire against flare targets.
Aircraft front, rapid fire! Aircraft front, rapid fire!
A glimpse of the 84mm anti-tank weapon being fired. And this is followed by a demonstration of the Milan guided weapon system. The weapon is fired and guided towards its target, and it scores a direct hit. The mortars and their effect on their target at the other end. the same mortars firing this time smoke, and this is closely followed by a demonstration of artillery firepower using 105mm light guns. RAF Harriers fire cannon and demolish their targets first time round. The colonel of the regiment looks up as they make their second pass. And now the heavier direct fire weapons available to the RWF battle group: a scimitar with its Raden cannon, followed by Chieftain with its main armament. When the demonstration is finished, Her Majesty takes the opportunity to chat to some of those taking part about their jobs. She's particularly interested in the performance by Fusilier Darlington, the sniper operator, and compliments him on his camouflage. Meanwhile, the remaining troops who've taken part leave their trenches and their vehicles, and as Her Majesty leaves, they all stand to attention to wish her farewell. All too soon, the time arrives for Her Majesty to depart Ransby Barracks, and as she drives back from the firepower demonstration through the barracks, the Guard of Honour form up. They are led on by the Goat, the Pioneers, and the Band and Drums. Is now lined by many of those soldiers who are not taking part in the firepower demonstration, together with many family and friends. As Her Majesty's car enters the barracks for the last time, the Guard present arms and the band play the national anthem. Departs the barracks on her way back to Windsor Castle, a truly memorable day comes to a close.